Yes, you saw it correctly. We are doing a mock draft on today's episode of Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I know it's early. It's actually the first mock draft done by any channel here at Chat Sports, but I wanted to make it precedent since, well, the Dolphins do currently hold the number 2 overall pick. If they didn't hold number 2, we wouldn't have done this. But through the first 4 weeks of the season, the Dolphins are 1-3. They are the worst offense in football, and they currently have the number 2 pick. The only team ahead of them, in terms of the standings, is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who the Miami Dolphins beat. So there's that. Before we get into the actual mock draft, make sure you are sharing today's video. We do a lot of coverage here on the Miami Dolphins, and if you think a friend, family member should see this first mock draft that we're doing, please share it to them and spread the word of Dolphins Today. Before we get in, we're doing a trade. And the Dolphins obviously hold the number 2 pick, like I just said. I traded out. The Rams currently hold the 8th pick in the draft, and with Stafford potentially being on the move or potentially just done in Los Angeles, I think they could be looking for their quarterback of the future. And this is the trade that I got offered in our mock draft simulator, and I accepted. I'd moved back from 2 to 8. I got their second round pick at 40th overall, and then I also got their first and second round picks in 2025. That's a mistake on me. Should have been 2026. On the brain, this is the upcoming draft. Should have been 2026. But here's my thoughts on the matter. If Miami are picking and is picking in the top 3, I would expect them, and personally, I would do this, to trade out and recoup assets. Why, you might ask? I don't think there's any prospect worth selecting in the top 3 over getting potential trade assets of the future. I really don't. Sure, Cam Ward is a really good quarterback. The edge rusher from Tennessee, James Pierce, really good player. Will Campbell, the offensive lineman from LSU, great player. Travis Hunter, great player. Are they worth taking it in top 3? I don't think they are. I think you could trade back, recoup assets, and then start maybe a soft rebuild where you get a lot of young talent into your organization because of that draft capital. So let me know what your thoughts is. Would you make a trade, and specifically, would you make this trade? Type T if you would trade. Type K if you would keep the top 3 pick. Well, we traded back from 2 to 8, but we're still going to grab a quarterback. With the 8th overall pick in this mock draft, I am selecting Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. And although I said that I don't think that any of these quarterback prospects would be worth taking in the top 3, here is how, at least as of right now, I have these quarterbacks faring on my draft board. I think these are the top 5. I have Cam Ward as my QB1. I do, in fact, have Jalen Milroe as my QB2. I think Texas Longhorns quarterback is Quinn Ewers is 3rd. Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU guy, who I'm kind of high on, a little bit more than most here, as my number 4. And then I have Shedeur Sanders at number 5. I think Shedeur is very talented, but if you're asking why he's at 5, it's because I don't really like his leadership qualities at this point, and I question how he would fare in an NFL locker room. But specifically on Jalen Milroe, he has been absolutely phenomenal thus far this season, and he looks like a different quarterback this year under Kalen DeBoer, the new coach in Alabama who came from Washington over Nick Saban. He has 18 total touchdowns compared to 1 interception, which, by the way, that interception was because his tight end dropped the ball and it deflected into a Georgia Bulldog defender's hands last week, as Milroe kind of made himself the Heisman favorite. He also adds a lot of elements on the ground. He's completing 73% of his passes. When you look at the film, in comparison to 2023 Jalen Milroe in the last season when he was the starter for Nick Saban, in the first 4 games of the Caleb DeBoer era in Alabama, he is a different passer. He has progressed so much. He reads the defenses much quicker. He is a more efficient actual thrower of the football. I think it's taking him a less time for him to get the ball out of his hands. And I think he's delivering the ball very accurately to some of these wide receivers that have been flat out really, really good. Obviously, the 17-year-old Ryan Williams, who's been the story of Alabama football. And the best part is he's far from a finished prospect. He can already grow so much and from year to year, I just can't even imagine what type of leaps he could take in the National Football League. And with that mobility, that speed, that physicality he brings, I know a lot of mobile quarterbacks get compared to Lamar Jackson, but I do think he is one of the rare QBs that possesses the athleticism, the agility, and acceleration that Lamar Jackson has. In the second round, at pick number 34, I'm going to go with an interior defensive lineman, Dante Corleon, the defensive lineman from Cincinnati. And the Dolphins need a Christian Wilkins replacement long term. And right now have Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell kind of partaking as those interior defensive linemen with Deshaun Hand and Brandon Pillai going in there a couple times. But they need a young guy. And I think Zach Sealer is really good, but Calais Campbell's 37, 38 years old. And he's on a one-year deal. So you're going to need someone to pair up with Zach Sealer going forward. And I think Corleon could really do that. He's been really, really good for Cincinnati this year, having a PFF grade of 77, pass rush of 74.1, and run defense of 77.0. You need to build up your trenches on both sides of the football. I think Corleon is a really good value here at pick 34 coming out of the Bearcats defense. He's nice at size, 6'1", 330, take up space. He's athletic enough to rush the passer as well as stop the run. And him and Zach Sealer could be a very fun pairing for the foreseeable future. Need to get the trenches. And I'm starting with Corleon in the second round. Make sure you get started with Game Time, who is the number one way to get your tickets, whether you're going to a Dolphins game, a Heat game that's starting up relatively quickly, or if you're not in Miami, you can get any tickets for your local area, whether it be concert, comedy show, or theater event. And with the new feature called Game Time Picks that allows getting tickets to see your favorite teams and people play live even easier, how could you not love Game Time? Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All-in pricing. Toggle this feature because it shows you the total price of your ticket up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And Game Time ticket coverage is another thing that I really like. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take it from me, who has purchased all of their tickets with Game Time. I use them all the time. When I went to LSU USC a month ago, I used Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, second round pick that we got from the Los Angeles Rams, number 40th overall. We're going to go with an interior offensive lineman, Tyler Booker, the guard for the Crimson Tide. Two Alabama players in the top 40 picks here. And Booker has not had the most sound start to his 2024 campaign. His numbers are not great. Has yet to allow a sack, but his overall PFF numbers aren't that good. He's played left guard for the most of his career as an Alabama Crimson Tide, and he is kind of versatile as well. This season, he's played 149 snaps at left guard and 77 at left tackle, which is good to have versatility amongst your offensive line. But I also don't want to scare Dolphins fans off by those PFF numbers from this season through 4 games, because in 2023 and 2022, he was very, very good, putting up PFF numbers overall all in the 70s. So I still believe Tyler Booker is a good player, and I think getting him in this room that could replace Robert Jones, replace Liam Eichenberg on that offensive guard spot would be very, very good for Miami, because we know they need to address the interior offensive line sooner rather than later. And if it's later, we got issues. We are going to still be dropping daily videos on the Miami Dolphins. Even if the season goes in a wrong direction, we're still going to be here. So make sure you hit that sub button and join the channel, because we're not going anywhere. We're going to lock you in here at Dolphins Today. We're going to go to the third round, and just a quick note here. The Dolphins don't have a third-round pick because they traded it to the Philadelphia Eagles for Jalen Wright. But they will be getting 2 comp picks for losing Robert Hunt and Christian Wilkins in free agency. They've got it projected at 98 and 99 in the third round right now. And with the 98th pick, we're going to go with offensive lineman Armand Mambo from Missouri. An offensive lineman that I am a fan of right now, and I actually am going to project by the time April rolls around and we are in the NFL draft process, he might be going in the closer ranges of the first round than the third round, because he is a very versatile football player who has been really good for Missouri this season. PFF numbers are off the charts. No sacks, only 2 hurries. He's played 3 years of football as a starter for the Missouri Tigers. All of them at right tackle. But he projects as a guard in the National Football League. When I was reading up on him, watching his film, looking at scouting reports, he has really good athleticism that allows him to get on the perimeter, get onto the second level very easily. And due to not having the greatest arm length, he has good enough arm length to be tackled, but it's right on that fringe area that many scouts believe he's going to be a guard in the National Football League. And I know we already drafted a guard in Tyler Booker, but this interior offensive line is so bad, it would be very beneficial to Miami to grab multiple, because if you both hit on those picks, well, guess what? You have your left guard and right guard starting duo with Aaron Brewer sandwiched in between. Or if one of them stinks, one of them's good, at least you got one guard solved. But I really like Mambo, and I expect him to be someone that I have high on my boards going into April. What's the biggest position of need for the Dolphins? They're 1-3 right now. A lot of people are negative on the Miami Dolphins. What is the one position they need the most? Could be quarterback, could be offensive line, could be interior defensive line. Let me know your thoughts down below. With the 99th pick, we're going to go with Jason Marshall, the corner from Florida, who transferred from Eastern Michigan a year ago. And Marshall has been a bright spot on that Florida defense. That team has really struggled this season. And talking to our resident Florida Gators fan here at Chat Sports, he said it's been one of the highlights of the season so far for this Gators team. His PF numbers are great, and his coverage stats are fantastic. Man coverage, zone coverage, doesn't matter. He's covering at a high rate. And through 4 games, PFF has charted him on allowing 5 receptions, for 42 yards. That is high-level football from Jason Marshall Jr. And it could be time to add another young corner to this room. Who knows what Cam Smith is going to bring to the table? Second-round pick from 2023 has yet to make a difference on this Dolphins roster, and hopefully he's going to be active this upcoming year. But Kendall Fuller signed a 2-year deal this offseason. Jalen Ramsey signed an extension, but he is approaching 30 years old. Kader Kohou has not been good for the Dolphins over the past couple of years, the former UDFA. So it could make sense for Miami to add a corner to this roster if they don't like what they're seeing out of Cam Smith. And I went with Jason Marshall Jr., the corner from Florida. All right, we just did a 3-round mock draft. The Dolphins have a couple picks in day 3, but I just wanted to talk about the top 3, especially with the trade that we made to start off. Grade my mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. If I don't get an F, it means I didn't do my job correctly. Let me know the grades down below. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Like I said, we're going nowhere. We're dropping coverage on the Miami Dolphins every single day, whether it be rumors, mock draft, news, watch parties for every single Dolphins game. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we have a lot of fun here. So hopefully I see you tomorrow. We'll have another video. Go Fins.